We're shooting for 1,000 horsepower on our Infiniti Q60, which is a very similar platform as far as the engine is concerned. So, yeah, really, there's not going to be much stopping us from doing 4 digits.
All right, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another video. This one's going to be just a little bit different. As you guys know, the Nissan Z has been revealed, and all of us here at AMS are super excited for it. So we have actually taken down some notes on some of the stuff we saw in the reveal, and then we actually asked a lot of people over social media if they had questions that they wanted us to answer, whether it be the platform itself or AMS's plans in the future. So we'll be answering those as well. So other than that, I think we will get started. Let's introduce everyone. So I'm Michael Ingram, videographer and editor here at AMS.
Hi, I'm Ty Curtin. I'm the Senior Marketing Specialist.
Lance Kane, Research and Development Manager.
Brian Heiss, R&D.
Nick Sarah, Sales and Marketing Director.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the reveal video that happened a few nights ago, and we're going to play that now and kind of discuss things as we go. So here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nissan Motor Company Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Ashwani Gupta.
Finally, another color.
Yeah, also that blue looks great.
It does. It really looks really good.
So I actually have something here. I wasn't sure if that was going to be the name, but it seems like that's the actual name, right? Just Nissan Z.
It's just a Z. It does make sense to an extent, because I believe there's going to be significantly more to this platform than what they're releasing right now. Over the years, I could definitely imagine that there's going to be another model beyond this, possibly an Nismo, possibly something that's going to make a little bit more power, and if we have anything to do with it, that number's going to be a lot higher.
I was like hoping at the end they were going to like pull out a Nismo, but that's going to be an awesome trim.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the Nismo trim looks like. Clearly there's going to be more power, maybe some aesthetics, but a big part of this car will be the aftermarket and what you can do in both of those categories, essentially. We're definitely going to be on the performance end, and I can't wait to see what it does.
From the upcoming Aria to the refreshed Armada,
I don't think we're going to do anything with those cars.
Here's a question. Do you think any other cars, while we're looking at other vehicles right now, any other cars will start to adopt the VR, like the VR30 engine?
I certainly hope so. I mean, relatively speaking, engine platforms tend to last quite a while.
Right.
And the fact that it's only currently in one model, the Infiniti, the Q50, and the Q60, is a little unusual for an OEM manufacturer. So it really makes me wonder if there's going to be an SUV variant or possibly a sport truck or something along the lines later on down the road. It would only make sense from them.
Like a revival of maybe the FX. I don't know if that would ever have it, but you never know.
Yep, exactly.
I think with the way the industry is going as far as shifting to electrification development, I think we are probably going to see a few more vehicles that have the same engine, just because they're not doing any more internal combustion engine development.
Right.
So they're going to try and maximize their usage of current engines.
Right.
Or even possibly a hybrid version.
I think that's really important. This is not meant to be a supercar. This is an everyday man's car. So it's great to see their price point that they're targeting for it, and just the fact that they're still catering to a car that anybody could attain.
Right.
Like a lot of the OEMs are starting to get a little extravagant. It's definitely good to see a manufacturer get down to the roots, especially on the passion side.
Right. And definitely with, we're trying to include everybody, right? It's got the option to have a manual gearbox, but also the new 9-speed, which we're all definitely excited to learn more about. But make sure that anybody can really drive the car and enjoy it.
So we can actually get into one of our first topics. We're talking about interior and exterior looks. The homage to the 240Z front end, 300Z taillights. I love the taillights personally.
Yeah, I think they nailed it. I mean, the design team that worked on this, really killed it. They were able to modernize it, but also really keep that kind of quintessential Z feel for the car. The fact that it's built on the Z34 chassis from the 370Z helps with that, keeping that same kind of style and overall shape of the car. But kind of the throwback cues, the taillights are really nice touches.
Yeah, taillights, lines in the hood are also indicative of like 240Z styling. I think, like you said, they really killed it.
One thing that's really interesting about it, though, with a lot of new product releases like this, they left it bare enough as a blank slate for future models, and that's going to be really exciting to see what they will do with a Nismo variant or whatever else, maybe a Fairlady Z.
Yeah, I'd love to see some of the kind of higher tier models, see what they look like from the factory, and then also obviously the aftermarket. The aftermarket's going to be doing all sorts of lip kits and aftermarket panels and things like that. So
Ty is one of the people that runs our Z Facebook group, and since they announced it, how many times have you seen people do renders of like body kits and?
Yeah, it's definitely something that people are itching for, seeing what it's going to look like once it's in time attack form or drag race form or something like that.
Personally, I love seeing the renders from the community. It's really cool to see all the different ideas put together from previous builds or even just completely new concepts come out, because it gives people inspiration of what to do with their own car.
Let's find some interior shots. Talk about the interior.
Let's not skip over that.
I'm going through it.
Wait until you see its turbocharged dance moves on the road. The new Z's advanced 3-liter V6 twin-turbo engine adds a significant bump in power output versus the previous 370Z.
Yeah, so this is a very familiar engine for us. This is the same VR30 DDTT engine that came in the Infiniti Q50 and Q60 that we have years of experience with.
Actually, have the Red Alpha right up there in the corner.
Right on the rack there.
Right on the rack there.
Yeah, so we have a lot of experience working with that engine, and it's an exceptional platform. So we're really excited to see it in this car.
Lance and Brian, you guys might be able to chime in on this from like an engineering standpoint, but obviously we don't really know the dimensions of the engine bay itself. But what are your guys' thoughts on like how stuff that we've already created for the Q platform like kind of might fit in?
I would say a good majority of it. The one thing that we focus on with a lot of our engineering is making everything modular, so it's not fixed to one particular aspect of the car or the other. So as OEMs design vehicles, or engines for that matter, the core engine platform itself is relatively the same. So they just take that same platform, jam it into another car. The connection points is where the differences are. I think the majority of what we've already done will transfer over. We just have to change some of those key components, like the connection points. Intakes will most likely be different, some of the fuel system stuff, etc. But we definitely have a head start, so to speak.
It looks, without being insulting, it looks familiar, right? Like there's a lot of fittings, lines, placements, engine cover, things like that are, familiar. But it's the small things that make the product, right? It's like, it's about the same shape for the intake. Well, that doesn't mean that it's going to drop in perfectly if you take a Q1 and put it in. And that's a lot of what we do outside of making something that just works. You make something that works and goes in well. And typically an OEM is going to make small changes the way a fitting goes on. I mean, you can take an intake tube and they'll just take an EVAP fitting, go from here to here. But that changes fitment.
Yes.
So, it's one of those, we'll probably be pretty fast to get Z stuff out, but we're going to, get the car here and confirm it so that people's expectations are met when they do get stuff from us.
And on top of that, nearly 5 years of development on the VR30 platform to start with. So
yeah.
Now, Brian, I know that you do a lot of the product design and development here in-house. Have we kind of taken the new Z coming out into consideration when we're designing, parts that are currently under development, new parts that we haven't released yet?
For sure. And a lot of things we were a little bit more conservative with like what we did on the Q platforms, so that, when the Z comes out, it's obviously it's a smaller car, two-door. Body lines might be narrower, engine bay might be narrower, hood might be lower. So you take all those things into considerations. You get really aggressive on designing this part, right? For a Q, it'll fit perfectly. But I mean, look at the strut bar in the Z. You know, that's directly above where intercoolers, intake manifolds, things like that are. So if you don't take that into consideration, you commit to tooling, you commit to, higher volume type products, you'll have a problem. So we are pretty hopeful that all things considered, a lot of the projects with big momentum behind them will be in a very good time. So when people are getting 400Zs, there's going to be a lot of fun stuff out for them.
I have gotten this question quite a bit. I just want to address this. So on the YouTube channel, I've had a bunch of people ask if we're going to stop producing parts for the Q platform when the Z comes out. That is not going to happen. We're still going to be producing. We're just adding the Z to our fleet, if you want to say that, of parts.
Everybody's going to have the Z in the garage as their weekend fun car, and then they'll have the Q50 four-door as their family sedan. Grocery getter.
Perfect example. Yeah.
You keep ordering, I'll keep making it. No problem.
Definitely can't wait to get one on, get one of the first cars here and, start going with development. And I'm sure you guys are really excited to get your hands on it and see what parallels we can draw and what we need to put some work into. But I personally can't wait to get one here and see what you guys can do with it, because I know we're going to be out to the races quick with it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have roughly about 3 or 4 of them here. With
3 or 4.
All of our employees buying them.
Yeah.
The engine is rated at 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, with the power-to-weight ratio improved over the 370Z.
The Red Sport makes 400. That's what it's rated at the factory, which is the same here.
So there's probably nothing different with internals or anything like that on this one.
Presumably, it's going to be very similar to the Red Sport. I do know that they have stated that they're using optical speed sensors on the turbos. The turbos are from Garrett. It's a nice set of turbos that make plenty of power for a stock set.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think? Do you think the manual will be faster or the auto?
Do we have any ideas what the
I mean, the auto's going to be faster,
right?
The automatic's going to be faster.
The manual's going to be more fun, but it also depends on what your version of fun is. Like, are you just out there to roll around the gears, or do you want to go be like the absolute biggest fish?
Mm-hmm.
So the automatic is definitely going to be like the drag trans.
How much power can it hold?
Yeah.
How long will it take us to find that out?
What we believe the transmission is going to be in the car, it's rumored to be the Mercedes 9G Tronic, which is rated at 516 foot-pounds, but that's a rated amount, not necessarily a post-tuned amount. My guess is that transmission is going to be pretty capable, pretty similar to the Supra K5. The only thing that's going to be kind of interesting, it is a 9-speed, so drag racing purposes, first gear is going to be really short, so that's going to be a little problematic, but otherwise I think the transmission is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that ZF transmission in the Supra is going to be a kind of a comparable setup, which makes it really easy for drag racing. But that's not to say that the manual is going to be bad for drag racing. There's plenty of cars right now that are H-pattern cars that run 6-second quarter-mile times.
Sequential dog walks?
Anything's possible.
I mean, we already have 2 transmission options. Let's wait.
I'm just thinking in the future.
It will be interesting to see to actually get our hands on a car and see what kind of limitations it will have. I mean, with the rev matching and a few other things, launch control that they have built into it, it makes me believe that there's probably some grainy controls on the car, so you can't power shift, through every gear and do some dumb stuff, which is great for reliability and safety, but not necessarily intuitive for drag racing and what we do. Now, road racing, that car should be a riot.
How about this question? Do you think you'll be able to turn off all the nannies on a 6-speed version of the car?
Well, I mean,
and actually be able to, power slide, drift it, burnouts straight from the factory?
My guess is possibly.
Yeah.
Right from the factory? Probably not. We'll definitely be able to get there.
Yeah, I would hope that they would have that kind of stuff disableable from the factory. With this being a driver's car, that's kind of what it's geared towards. I would hope that they would have it, but if it doesn't, I'm sure the aftermarket will take care of it.
And downshift rev matching.
I think that's a really cool feature to have. That carbon fiber drive shaft.
Also offers a direct
it makes sense that the
and
carbon
quick
fiber drive
response
shaft's only included in the 6-speed manual. It's essentially a big rubber band, so not only for NVH reasons, drivability, smoothness of the shifts, rev matching, it allows for a lot of safety, so to speak. But also shock loading as well to the drivetrain.
Z34, well, they're both Z34s, but 370Z had rev matching too, but I never had a chance to drive one. Anybody ever drive that car? Yeah.
It's kind of, it's nice, but it almost takes some of the fun out, because I want to do that. That's the whole point of the manual. I'm doing it.
Can you turn it off?
We're going to find out.
We'll find out.
Speaking of the trims, I'm really happy that each trim is going to have 400 horsepower. At least when it comes to performance, they're not limiting that to the top tier trim.
Drivetrains, or at least engine platform, is the same, which
That's
is
awesome.
great to hear.
I'm super happy they're doing that.
Electronic power steering.
Guess this would be a good time to get into the interior, actually. What are your guys' favorite things? I love the analog gauges on the top, the 3 pods, you know, dating back to the original.
Oh, yeah. Check that out.
I think my eyes were locked on the main display.
Yeah.
It looks super futuristic. I guess current, maybe. I don't know.
The dash,
But,
like behind the wheel? Or
Yeah, the main display, but where, tach and speedometer are. It's like, kind of just, it's very modern styling of the whole car. It's really cool to see kind of the mix-it classic with super modern styling.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They definitely brought some of the retro styling into the cabin, but kept everything updated, which is really great to see.
Even the wheel has a lot of cues from like the original style wheel, but again, fully modernized. Ty kind of said it earlier, they really knocked it out of the park with the design of this vehicle.
Definitely. If you also look at all the controls too, they all seem to be very easy and in reach. Nothing seems to be overly complicated. Not 32 buttons making it look like an aircraft fighter on the interior. Everything's very streamlined, very efficient, and for a sports enthusiast type car, that's what I really like to see.
The black does look great. I could get with the blue seats and maybe the blue door cards, but the blue that they have on like the center console and the dash is just a little too much.
And it's all down to personal preference, honestly, when it comes to that. There's definitely people that are going to get it, no doubt.
Yeah,
People
if
love
it was
but-
more accent-based versus the entire thing, I think that'd be
I
the
would
way to
agree,
go.
yeah.
But we'll have to see what the actual production cars truly look like.
I think this yellow stitch option is part of the initial like proto edition or whatever release car, but I really like the way it looks.
Yeah, this is the Proto Edition. This is limited to 240 cars, so it's
Oh,
going
wow.
to be a collector's edition right off the get.
This kind of
There's a
the same
turbo
color
speed
almost.
dial.
that kind of goes with what you were saying. They put
wow.
the sensors on it, so
Yeah, so the turbos have an optical speed sensor. They're basically plugged right into the, I believe it's the compressor cover on the turbos.
Yep.
And it reads how fast the turbos are spinning. And so that then is displayed on the dash here with this turbo speed gauge. So hopefully that will alleviate some of the issues that a lot of tuners have as far as
You can see how bad your tuner is,
yeah, as far as
or good.
yeah,
I wish-
overspinning the turbos is definitely an issue and will cause failure if you're not careful.
I feel like they
no,
could have
no,
done
no.
with something other than the volt gauge
Me
though
neither.
on the right, like oil temp or pressure or something.
Yeah, an
or-
oil temp gauge would have definitely been preferred.
I wonder if we could actually maybe swap these out or get some gauges made that could look similar.
My guess is they probably cater to the aftermarket here a little bit. I would venture a guess that you can pull that gauge out, and it's going to be very, very similar to a standard size gauge pop.
Yeah.
The instrumentation locates
Its
all
startup
vital
animation's
information
awesome.
in the
Yeah, it looks
12.3
nice.
customizable digital
there's your
meter
one.
display.
Just a matter of
It
time
is a
before
way
we
to help
program
the
that.
driver grasp
Another
info
boost
items.
gauge.
AMS
And
Performance
when
pops up.
upload,
Oh, the boost
tachometer
gauge.
Hopefully it's
is
editable,
centered in the
because
display.
we're not going to be stopping
The
at
race-inspired
20
red room
PSI.
shifting
or
has
Yeah.
range to help the driver.
With a custom danger manifold.
There are a couple of different variations of the display as you'd imagine with a digital one, but some of them are like really cool looking.
Are they air conditioned seats though?
Doubt
They're
it.
heated, not cooled though.
The Sport has 4-way adjustable, and I believe the standard model had 8-way.
Yeah, I think it's all manual too, so they're keeping the car lightweight.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I wonder what the curb weight is. That's
Good
another.
question. They haven't released
Yeah,
the
they
curb
haven't
weight
said
yet.
that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of unusual. I mean, we have all the stats other than curb weight.
Yeah. I would imagine that means that it's on the heavier side,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, unfortunately, with newer cars nowadays, there's so much safety equipment built into
That's
them.
true, yeah.
I mean, plastic isn't light, unfortunately. But I would hope that it's in the lower 3,000 range. It'll still be a really fun car.
Here's a question: heavier or lighter than a Q60?
Oh, God, it's going to be lighter.
You think
I
so?
mean, our Q60 Red Sport was 4,000 pounds.
What?
When it came in and I scaled it.
Really?
4,060.
Yeah, I
With
think
half a tank of fuel.
Let's all make guesses. What do you think, Ty?
if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably 3350.
Lance?
That's a really good target.
Yeah.
Brian?
I was gonna say about 34.
I'm going to say 34.75.
$1, Bob. Are the kids even gonna know that reference?
Probably not. Probably not.
But yeah, if they're anywhere under 3,500 pounds, I think we're still in good shape.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
Because then there's obviously still going to be weight reduction that we
Yep.
may be able to do here and there. Yeah.
But even like the bigger brakes, you know, I mean, 14-inch brakes in the front, 13.8, I believe, in the rear. I mean, just in rotating mass itself, that's a lot of weight just in brake rotors. I mean, There's plenty of weight savings to be had in these cars, but my guess is it's going to be pretty well tailored and balanced, especially with how much torque the VR30 makes.
Right.
You're not going to feel that weight.
Are they 6 pistons in the front?
I believe 6 piston in the front, 4 piston in the rear for the...
That was on the Proto. The Proto had the 6-piston
Yeah, it
Brembos.
did,
This has, I believe, Akibonos.
Yep.
It's a 4-pot front, but that's I guess an optional or a trim-specific brake. They have an even smaller one, unfortunately, for the base model.
Proto had it.
The Proto had
did
it.
have it.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
but
Gotcha.
the release does not.
Yeah. It is really crazy too, because has anyone else seen the Proto in person?
No.
I definitely I think the door handles. I don't remember seeing like that trim around the door handles.
Oh yeah, the circle around
The
it.
circle
I
around
thought that
it?
was new too.
Yeah,
It is.
because
They had to add a keyhole.
Oh, that's why. Okay. So I did go to the auto show to
no
see it, but
poppers
I was
underneath.
filming it so much I wasn't like focused on anything really. But in the front grille, I don't think that changed. Like when they were saying they were 95% done, they really weren't kidding. Like this
Yeah.
is even the interior. Like one guy opened the door for like 10 minutes, but the interior looks almost the exact same as far as what we see here.
Yeah, the Proto was really close.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see that, honestly. You see the difference between like FT1, which was the Supra concept, and then when it actually came out,
That-
drastically different cars.
Yeah.
If
So
that would have came out, I would have
it's
went
kinda-
into debt for that car.
Right.
That FT1 looks so good.
So I mean, it's kind of cool to see something, a prototype actually come out and basically be what the release really is. And we're really happy about the power plant. Everybody kind of theorized that it could be, and it's, the closer and closer we get, the more rumors we hear. We're like, please, but couldn't be happier. And
Yeah, the
gonna
Proto
be
definitely didn't have the rear wing either, the rear duckbill.
Yeah, this
And
has a little duckbill
I
on it.
like that.
Which I really like.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love that.
I mean, for the money, it's a pretty awesome car, and I think what the nicest part about having like a VR30 that's not, a giant departure from what we're used to is that the aftermarket support comes in straight away. So it makes it a more attractive car for people to get. The more people that get the car that look to the aftermarket, the more the aftermarket's going to respond. And then the arms race starts. Right? So it's like, okay, everyone's got intakes, everyone's got exhaust, we've got tunes, we want turbos, intercoolers, heat exchangers, we want big tire packages, on and on and on and on. The road racing guys are going to want different stuff, suspension, brakes, downforce, but it's because of that ecosystem, it makes it much more practical for us to say, okay, yeah, I'll go do that. When everyone's hitting you guys up, hey, we want this, okay, fine.
it's also
Take it.
it's really perfect for a new Z to have that as well, because it already was going to be an enthusiast car. So to be able to, like you said, kind of go to the races right away with it, it's super exciting.
Yeah, this is a car that people buy to modify. That's part of a car guy heritage, that making it your own type of mentality. So yeah, it's really nice to have at least a head start to be able to.
It'll become rare to find one that's unmodified.
Right.
Kind of like GTRs nowadays.
Yeah.
I've driven, in the 10 years I've worked here, I've driven one stock GTR.
Wow.
Ever. Out of everything that we've ever built.
Right before you modded it.
No, it was actually in here for a completely different service, but I've only driven one stock one. So, super rare, at least in our world. But
I think we've covered most of the topics. So as of the time of recording this episode, yesterday we went on social media and we asked a bunch of people if they had some questions. Any questions specifically they wanted to ask us, either about our thoughts on the car or possible future plans for AMS and the platform. So we have about 5 or 6 here that we're just going to go through real quick. So the first one comes from Idin96, and they ask any future packages for road course / TA spec Zs, kind of like what we did for Jackie Ding and a Supra.
So,
Yes.
While the answer is yes, the stuff that was made for Jackie's car is, it's made for any application, really. I mean, it's our off-the-shelf Alpha 6 for a race application car because of the race downpipe. But yeah, I mean, we'll certainly be making that again.
Yeah, I would say from most of perspectives in terms of development, like if it's going to be a, intercooler, intake manifold, if you're making it to be really efficient, then it's going to be most of the time applicable to both road course and drag. I would say most drag stuff is way more specific and typically less refined. So when you go to that, point of refinement, it'll be good for both. Yep. Same as the, like what we do on the Supra, intake manifold and all the intakes, all the exhausts, all turbo kits. Especially retaining, like the VR30 has the electric wastegate control.
Yep.
Because then at that point it's just a map.
Right.
Do you want to make maximum power? Do you want response? Do you want anti-lag? You know, a couple lines of code, boom.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have some development that's focused on road course usage. You know, people kind of think of us mainly as a company that builds cars for drag racing or just high horsepower type builds, but we actually have a pretty long, you know, history with road course builds with Time Attack. You know, 10, 12 years ago, we campaigned a number of cars in the Redline Time Attack series. Did really well in that series and have a lot of experience from that. So yeah, it's not out of the question, and we should be developing some parts that align with that.
So we also have Michelle VR38 asks 0 to 100 and quarter mile predictions. Can't really predict
Stock?
that. They didn't say, so stock, and what is our goal?
I mean, yeah, stock. We have no idea. We don't know what the curb weight is. We don't know how the controls are, so it's really hard to say, you know, what this thing's going to do. But if given our track record with certain cars that we get into, like the Q60, for example, we just bypassed a whole bunch of milestones, went from 500 horsepower to 800, started setting records. So we'll probably be doing that again.
And this actually, we could kind of go back to this at least. With the last Z-Vlog that we did show our VR32 big bore.
Yeah, as far as modified horsepower numbers go, we should be able to do 500 wheel horsepower pretty much right off the bat. That's really only going to take basic bolt-ons, intake, exhaust, that kind of thing, and tuning on E85, let's say, in order to get that 500 wheel horsepower level. And then from there, yeah, we can do turbo upgrades, built engines, that kind of thing. We're shooting for 1,000 horsepower on our Infiniti Q60, which is a very similar platform as far as the engine is concerned. So, yeah, really, there's not going to be much stopping us from doing 4 digits.
Yeah.
And like what Lance was saying earlier, is that's a testament to, you know, the past 5 years of development on the Q platform. You know, besides minor changes that we will need on some parts, it's going to be a lot faster for us to kind of hit those numbers.
It's easy to hit the number once quickly, but to make it reliable and usable is a completely different story, and that's our target development. You know, can we send our car on it down right now and make 1,000? Yes. Is it safe? No. So still got some work to do.
Cool. Next question real quick. Will Wit 10 asks, are we going to be able to buy an Alpha Z through a local Nissan dealer?
Call Nissan and tell them you're not buying one if there isn't that option available.
That's the only answer you need.
Question answered.
There you go. All right.
For some history, we do actually work with Infiniti on a number of our parts being sold through their motorsports catalog. So I wouldn't say it's out of the question for a similar program with Nissan, but we'll have to see.
Yep.
Miguel Gutierrez asks, does this mean more mods for the Q as well?
Yes.
Question answered.
The more we learn about a new platform, I mean, the sky's the limit. Anything's possible. We can learn more about this particular car and the application that we could use it in and transfer that right back to the Qs. Same applies in the other direction. Everything that we'll learn on the Qs can get transferred to the 400Z.
I can't even say it. ABDULAEV Rafi's VR38 DETT swap.
Well, we're already at VR32,
Yeah.
so
I don't really think
No, that's probably not going to happen.
I don't really think it's
Spatially,
necessary.
I mean, the VR30 looks pretty tight in the engine bay shots.
Yeah.
To think that, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody does it. But I don't think that's on our
Someone's going to do it.
plans.
it takes some of the fun out of it.
Yeah.
I don't think our attention is there, but I agree. Someone's probably going to do it. See a build car, something of the sort, a drift car,
Top secret
dedicated
Japan.
race.
I'm gonna classify that modification in the category of development. There's a special tab in the project spreadsheet for it.
Yeah, the problem with that is it would probably cost more to
FRI
retrofit it than it would be to just buy a GTR off the bat.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'll keep the funds flowing in that account. So
All right, next question. We have Automotive Money Pit. It's a good name. I like that. It's everybody. They ask, capabilities of the platform. Will there be Z-specific parts? Do you think everything will be interchangeable to the Q lineup? We already kind of discussed that, actually.
Yeah.
Minor things need to be changed.
Suspension
Maybe.
brakes probably is going to be the biggest, like, you know, this or that type of piece.
Yeah. Q60S, Raijin asks, Do you think they fixed the turbo seal issue? Sounds like it comes stock with blow-off valves.
A lot of the turbo issues were addressed. Luckily, we're also a Garrett PD. We're closely with Garrett and Honeywell as well. But they've addressed that over the years, and most of the replacement turbos are upgraded and updated. So we would assume that this vehicle should not experience the same problems unless your tuner gets a little aggressive with it and puts it outside of what their capabilities are.
You'll know from the gauge on the dash now.
Yeah. If you bury that gauge, expect bad things to happen.
Yeah. Our last question is from Tanners, and they ask, how long will it take us to hit the 9s? I'm calling it within a month.
Within a month. I guess it depends on what month we get it, right?
Yeah.
What the weather looks
Yeah,
like.
if it's February, I don't think so.
It snows a lot
Take a
here.
road trip.
I mean, there's always a little bit of lag with tuning support.
True.
ECU is going to be different. The coding is going to be different. So
Yeah,
it's not going to port over.
If we wanted to do something fast, we'd probably have to do an aftermarket standalone.
Yeah.
The stock ECU is going to be probably months to wait for development.
But we'll have to see. We'll get the car and the clock ticks.
Cool. All right, everybody, that does it for our Z discussion. Just want to say thank you to everyone who submitted questions. Hope you guys enjoy this video and kind of a bit more of a look into the Z platform and kind of some ideas that we possibly have for the future of the Z itself. So with that being said, that does it for today. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.